YouTube right now. Here we go. Hoping that Riverside comes through. Here we go. We're live. Gotta stop. Gotta mute myself. There we go. All right. So I have the chat for YouTube Live on over here. So I'll be able to answer any questions as they come in for today's chat. I am so excited to be talking to you today. I actually just got off of a coaching call with an entrepreneur who builds his community on Circle. I've been working in our Circle community for the last couple of weeks here just to do some uplifting and things like that. And I am ready to go and talk about one of my favorite community platforms right now. So make sure to drop any questions as I go through this. I'll be here answering all of your questions as we go through this, but I'm going to share a basic overview of the Circle platform. So I also recently cut coffee out of my beverages. So I was getting these horrible coffee headaches. And so this is just a giant cup of decaf, and hopefully it gets me through this time. All right. So, all right, we're going to get started here. Again, if you are in the chat, make sure to say hi and let me know if you have any questions as we go. Today, we're going to be talking all about the Circle platform, how it's set up, how it works, really just demystifying it, because I know for a lot of you, you might feel like your work, your message are lost in all of the digital noise that is out there. And so a lot of us kind of dream of having this place where we have this perfect space that we're able to steward and create for our community. And it's a place where our community actually wants to hang out. And that can feel like a really far off dream, because if we look at the digital landscape broadly, there's just all of these Facebook groups that are kind of they go to, and they die. There's chaotic Discord servers. And really, it can feel like I don't think I can possibly build my own community. But in fact, it's very, very possible. And there are many platforms you can choose to actually make this dream a reality. And the one that I want to talk to you about today is Circle, because it's one of the easiest ones that I know to set up. I've been doing this work for a long time. And really have been able to leverage and create an incredible membership with it. And not only for our business, but also for our clients. So I can't wait to share with you everything that I know today. I mean, not everything. I can't get it all done in like half an hour, but I'll do it. I'll do my absolute best. So hi to those of you who do not know me yet. I am Carrie Melissa Jones, and I help leaders, entrepreneurs, small business owners, creators build online communities that they love. So we have worked with all kinds of organizations, from the Fortune 50 to small businesses, nonprofits, even political campaigns. So we have seen, I was going to say we've seen it all. I'm constantly amazed by the things that I come across. There's always something more to learn, but we're very experienced in building these communities. And today I want to show you from a community builder's perspective, from the perspective of someone who has seen a lot over the last 10, 15 years, how to navigate one of the more popular community platforms today. So I chose to start with Circle here because it's a platform that I actually use. I use it every single day for our community. And it's one of the top platforms that I've been seeing our clients leveraging more and more and more over the last couple of years. I think they launched in 2020. We actually started using the product when it was still in beta, and we've watched it just really skyrocket from there. So I want to share with you this platform first. If you have other platforms that you'd like to hear about from me, please do let me know. But I'm going to give a basic overview of it and how it works and what you should focus on if you're thinking about using this platform. All right. If you are live, please stick around until the end, because I'll be doing a giveaway. I'm going to be giving away our Circle Setup Toolkit. You also need to comment in the chat at some point if you are live, so I know that you're here, because I'm going to be choosing from the attendees who are here live who will actually get that resource. And it's something that we only currently share with our existing clients and with those in the CMJ community. So it is an exclusive resource you can only get here at this live, or you can join the CMJ community. But this is free. So that's awesome. All right. So if you're like, okay, great, Carrie, I want to understand Circle broadly, but I also want to launch like today. Okay. So if you want to get right into it, go to the link in this video description. I have a Circle launch toolkit that my team and I have created that is completely free. You can download it, and it will give you the steps and all the considerations you need to keep in mind as you begin to launch your Circle community. So grab that. It is a totally free resource, whether you're here live or not. So let's get right into Circle. I'm going to be sharing my screen a bunch today, and I'll be sharing my screen so that I can actually show you what the platform looks like. So I'll be looking over here a whole bunch. And what I've done for today's session is I've actually started up a brand new Circle community. So you can actually see what it looks like when you are starting from scratch. So this is the Circle landing page. And last night I started a brand new Circle space. You're going to see the CMJ community here. I'm going to go into depth on, what we've done, how we've set this up. But today I'm just going to share with you a sample community, a blank one that doesn't have anything inside of it. So when you first start a Circle community, it gives you a couple of different options. You can decide if you want a course focused community, maybe you're a coach, you're a podcaster. Honestly, it doesn't really matter which one you pick. You're going to end up redoing everything in here anyway. So as you're signing up for Circle, just don't worry about which option you choose. It's actually a very simple setup and customization that they do to each one. So it's all you can redo it if you need to. Okay. So this is what it looks like. It's a completely blank space. There's not much going on in here. So first thing I'm going to do is just give you a basic walkthrough of what your members see. So I'm showing you what's possible throughout this video on a basic membership plan. There's pro and there's business plans. There's also enterprise plans. You could do even more with these, but I just want to start with the basics here and what you can get. As of this recording, it is $39 per month with the basic Circle plan. Okay. So the first things first, you have your Circle feed. This is essentially like your Facebook feed or like your TikTok following page. It's all the things that are relevant to you and your community. There's nothing here. This community is completely empty. So there's nothing to see on this feed, but I'm going to share with you a little bit later what it looks like inside of the CMJ community and what it looks like when it's really lively. The next thing to pay attention to are these, what is known as space groups. So it's a grouping of spaces. These are known as spaces. This wording is very confusing within Circle. So I just want to acknowledge that it is confusing. And actually, when I came in here, the template calls this like space, a spaces. But actually what this is what's known as a space group. And if you ever want to create a new one, you have to click plus here and create space group. This is the only way you could do that as of this recording. So space groups, the way I like to think about them is they're kind of like folders. Like there's nothing in this group here. There's spaces within it, but this in and of itself, there's no content there. It's just the name of a folder, and then it contains your spaces. So space group, spaces here, okay? And depending on the level of plan you're on, you can have either unlimited numbers of these. You can have, I think, 30 on the business or the pro plan. I can't remember which one it is, but you can have lots of these and you can have lots of different space groups as well. The other thing to pay attention to are these top nav options. So you can have, this is just your homepage that's going to take you to wherever you have deemed to be your homepage. You can say like, I want start here to be the homepage, and that would take you there. It can have courses, it can have events, it can have your member directory if you choose to make it public, and it can have your leaderboard if you choose to use the gamification features inside of community. You can have none of these things also, and it could just be blank here. But this is one of the ways people navigate the community is this top nav bar here. The next thing to pay attention to are these links. There's always by default these download the app links. A lot of times on our client communities, we end up taking these off and we direct people to download the app in other ways because this is really valuable real estate here. Oftentimes what you want to include here instead are things like links to your website or links to like book coaching sessions or something else. You really want to make the most of this space here and not just promote the Circle app. And then the last thing I want to walk you through, and because there's a lot here, let's just acknowledge there's a lot of options, but I'm just showing you like what is most important for you to pay attention to today. And the last thing that's important for you to pay attention to is profiles. So this is what a member profile looks like. If it's actually filled in, this would have a picture. This would have, there's default fields in the basic plan. You can only ask, I believe it's just these 3 questions. And then there's also a headline and a bio that people fill out as well. I don't have any information filled out here yet. So it's an empty profile. On the business plan, you can create unlimited profile fields. So we ask things like, what stage is your community in? And there's a drop down of, pre-launch, launch, et cetera, et cetera. So that's just your basic overview. And when I'm setting all of this up, usually you go through and You go through into settings, and you can start setting all this basic information up right here. Typically this takes me about 15 minutes to get all of this kind of like organized and in place for a client. But then we want to go further into the settings. And so the next thing that we're going to do is look through these general settings, but also these settings here on the side, because these are the other important things for you to pay attention to. And again, this is found way here at the bottom. Like this all looks very overwhelming. There's a lot going on here, but we just start with settings. That's what I recommend. People go in, take a look at this big picture, then go into settings and get those set up. Okay. So your general settings are going to include things like your community name, which you can change at any point. The language, for whatever reason, you can only do English and Portuguese. There are plugins you can use if you want to translate any of the content and the actual interface itself. You can create a custom domain, which I have not done here. This is just a sample. You can choose to make this a public community, which you can't do at the basic plan, but you can on higher plans. And then you can decide if when someone gets a link to your community, what is that sign up link? What is it telling people to do when they actually are sharing content from the community? There will be a call to action that says, like, if you want to actually read this post, join the community. So what do you want that to actually say here? And then you get down into the branding. This is where things get fun. So this is the beginning of theming inside of the community. So you start to make it your own. So you start out with brand color. What's really strange about the brand color in Circle is that this brand color is actually, you can't see it right now, but it doesn't actually, it's in your emails, it's in the call to action links, but also if I go back out to the main feed, it's this color here. It's this color here and this color here. So it's actually not that prominent of a color. So, and you want to be really careful that it's a high contrast color because it's something that you'll use a lot with links and things like that. And then you also want a dark mode so that when people toggle on and off, you can always turn on, switch to dark mode. You have that option. Then your logo, icons, all of that good stuff. Again, this is all stuff that we have some recommended settings on this that we do with our clients. And this process is very, very quick when we go through this together. So I want to also show you what it looks like inside of the theming dashboard. So if we go into customize theme, this is where things can get really fun. We can start playing around with what the actual platform is going to look like. So we can customize the community logo. Right now, this is just text. We can create a community icon. That's what is right here on the sidebar. We can choose a theme that's already been created and we can just see what it looks like. But where I have a lot of fun is going through and actually adjusting the brand colors and changing them all here. And then what you want to do all the time with the Circle community is you want to set light mode usually as the default. It's up to you though, if you want light or dark. And then you always want to make sure that you have a dark theme version of your community. Now, I believe there are more options. If you are on a higher tiered plan, you have the options of changing out more of these colors. It looks like you can't, oh no, you have to create a custom theme. That's what it is. I'm in here all the time. I'm still figuring things out all the time. So this is where you adjust like your header text colors and things like that. So if I change this, you can see it's a very subtle change there. It changes right here live. And this is just to show you what the actual changes look like in real time. So these are not clickable. It's kind of like a little mock-up that you can set up. So you customize all of this, and this is where things start to really get real. So I'm going to share with you what this actually looks like when it is set up and it looks pretty. And I'm going to show you two examples, two communities that one is our community and the other one is one that we have talked about before on my other YouTube videos. And that is, excuse me, the Low Lift Club, which is run by Jamar Diggs. All right. So you can see here, this is what a community actually looks like once it's themed. So you have things like your banner. This is an actual logo here. I didn't change too much on our logo. You're able to change the icon here. The colors are all really nice. When I toggle or hover over them, the custom colors show up here, custom colors show up here. So it looks really, really nice once it's all set up. And then you can see the feed here. This is where a feed where the community is actually active. So there's a welcome banner that comes here. And then there's all the conversations that I have access to as a member are all in this area here. And then there's a sidebar with the events. You can turn these things on and off as well. So that's what it looks like when it's actually all themed. And I wanted to share with you another example. Again, this is the Low Lift Club. So this is the feed for Jamar's community, this beautiful banner. And you are able to just see everything in one place. And then these are, Jamar's kept it really simple. So I just wanted to share with you what it looks like. This is probably one of the default themes from Circle. It still looks really nice, even if you don't do too much with it. All right, so let's go back then until stop sharing my community here. The next thing I want to walk you through is probably the most important piece to understand about Circle, and that is to understand the spaces and space groups. So let's go back into my fake community that I had started to walk you through this. All right. So we're back in the theme area again. And what I want to show you is, if I leave the theme area, I want to show you spaces and space groups. So as I mentioned before, the only way to create a space group is to create it right here, but you can go in and go into spaces here and see all of your space groups and all of your space individual spaces right here in one place. So generally when I'm setting this up for a client or for our community, I'm working from this pane in here. It's under the site, which you can find if you go here, site, and then you go choose spaces, or you can just find it by going to spaces. I don't know why Circle gives you two ways of doing it, but two paths lead into one area. And here you can adjust everything about the space, and except you can't adjust the space type from this pane once you've set it up. But you can set up everything, including your space icon, the name of the space, which space group it falls under, whether you want it hidden from people or not, whether it is open, private, or secret. And then there are 3 layouts if you choose a posts space option. So let me walk you through what that means. So when I'm creating a new space, I click here and there's 6 options. I can either create a post space, which is what I showed you primarily, where there's like these individual posts that are happening in the feeds that I showed you, those examples. And it's where people can have asynchronous discussions and things like that. That's a post type space. Then there is a chat type space, which is more of like your Slack or your Discord chat. Big caveat to this one is that nothing you create in the chat area, I'm going to take a sip of my decaf. Nothing you create in there is searchable. Drives me crazy. I don't know if this will always be the case with Circle, but if anyone from Circle is watching this, please make chats searchable or discourage people and make that more obvious, because we have lots of clients who've created chat communities and then they realize like none of that content is actually useful in the long term. But that is what a chat space is. Then you've got members. So this is your member database. If you want to create a public or a community only member database where you can see everyone else that's in the community, you need to create one of these types of spaces. Then there are events spaces. So your events calendar, and you can have different event spaces for different types of events if you want. A course space. So that's if you have a course that you want your members to go through, you will create that course here. And then images. And I think images are primarily for maybe like creative or photography communities. I have not found a good use case for this yet, but if you have one, please tell me. I would love to know about that in the comments of this video or in the chat, because again, I have not found them to be useful, but that doesn't mean they're not useful. They created them for some reason. All right, so back to when you create a space. So you're creating a space, you decide I'm going to create a post space. Okay, great. It gives you some initial options for what you can do. So you can say like test space, you can change the emoji. What I like to do to keep things consistent is usually like pick a color or something or a shape, just because these sidebars can get really messy otherwise. And then we need to select the space group that we want it to be in. You can mess with the notifications and the privacy level, but this is usually where I begin. And then I start to actually, after you've created it, you can get a lot more deep into the design of the space from here. You can do things like add a big cover banner, like the one that you saw in Jamar's community. You can add links across the top. So if I decide to add a space link here, I can either add one link or a folder. So if you have like a bunch of courses you want to link out to or blog posts, you can say like, and then I'll call it like, and then it shows up. Not about, I think you have to put HTTPS. Here we go. and then it shows up here. So you can do this. I'm not sure if they limit you in terms of the number, but that way it's really easy to pin resources to the top of your communities. So it's really, really easy to create new spaces in your communities and to customize them and make each one different. Again, I want to show you what the CMJ community looks like here. So I'm going to show you, here are our spaces. So we use similar icons here, and then we have some variety icons here. And then we use the same notebooks, but just different colors for our resource library, and then the same icons for our courses, just to keep the visual stimulation a little bit lower in our community. But you can see in here, this is what it will look like on your sidebar once these spaces are all set up. And we'll have things like the CMJ. This is what an event space will actually look like. And we have this set up so that it's a feed of all of our upcoming events. So this is what it looks like when there's actually content in there. The big thing about creating a community is that, I'm going to stop sharing this. Just creating the settings and all of that is well and good. It's a great place to start. But the real work in community launch and community setup is seeding it with content. So whether that content are posts or is posts, or if it's events that you need to schedule and get on the events calendar, whatever that might be, that's where a lot of the work comes in. So just getting things architected is step one. Creating the content is step two. That's why when we work with our Circle clients, what we generally will do is do this initial setup and then have you, the client, working on the back end, thinking about what are the content, what are the programs, what is the content that we want to start our community with, and then we can pre-populate that for you. But it's kind of a two-step process. So curious to know, for those of you who are either watching this later on, or if you are here live, if you were to start a community today, it could be about anything. What spaces would you like to create inside of your community? Let me know in the comments. I would love to know what ideas are bubbling up for you. Would it be event spaces? Would you definitely create a member database? Would you absolutely not create a member database because you don't want anybody else knowing who else is there for whatever reason? Different communities, different needs. Would love to know that. All right, the next thing I want to go through, and this is very, very important with Circle, and it's something that a lot of people skip, and I don't want to see anybody skipping this anymore after watching this video, is onboarding. So I'm going to share again. This tab here. Actually, I'm going to share a different tab. Just kidding. All right. Here we go. Onboarding is hard to find. It's buried inside of the Circle settings, but it is crucial to have set up even on day one. So to get to onboarding, there's not just like an onboarding button here, which onboarding is so important. It should be out here, Circle team. But you actually get to it by going to audience, and then onboarding is buried under audience. Okay. Now, inside of this, if you toggle all of these off, there are no there's no onboarding that's going to happen at all. Someone joins your community, they're just joining your community. They're not going to get any reminders. They're not going to get an email. They're not going to get a pop-up when they join. They're just going to be in there, and then that's it. But what you're going to want to do instead, and this isn't toggled on because this is I can't toggle this on, I should say, because I'm on a trial right now. But you should set up invitation emails and an onboarding pop-up and an onboarding email. And then this is depending on how you actually decide to invite members. We've skipped this process before and sent emails from our other email providers. That's one option you can do when launching. You want to toggle these on, okay? So your onboarding pop-up is what's going to actually show up on someone's screen when they first join your community, and they're going to see, for example, you can preview it. It looks like this, like, hey, Carrie, welcome to this community. Have a look around. And then you have the option to put in one call to action. Do not miss that option. Definitely do it. Create one very clear call to action that you want people to act upon at this stage. And then the same thing here, definitely create an onboarding email. So this will get sent to all of your new members upon joining. So typically what happens when you join a community is you're like, oh, I'm so excited. I'm in this community. I'm going to click around. And then you're like distracted by life. And then you click away from it and then you forget about it. So what's really helpful about this is that it's going to send an email to people so that when they come back to their email later, they're reminded, okay, I did just join this community. I forgot that I did that earlier today. And here's the thing I should do. I often recommend repeating the call to action that you put in the onboarding pop-up here, because a lot of people are going to ignore this onboarding, this pop-up call to action. They're just going to be overwhelmed and just want to like get through it. And the pop-up often can feel like an intrusion in the experience. And so you're going to usually want to send the exact same call to action here. The one I recommend, there's a couple, well, there's actually a couple of things I recommend. If you have a checklist for onboarding, link to that here. If you want them to fill out their profile, you can link to that here. Or one of the kind of secrets to immediately getting some engagement is to ask them to RSVP to an upcoming event. So you can just link them to that main events feed that I shared with you. At the top nav, you can just link them to the feed or the calendar of events and get them to add those events onto their calendar. That gets them committed to something that is actually going to be happening that they have to be live for. So they're more likely then to actually do something versus again, signing in, forgetting that they even joined, and then clicking away. All right. So don't skip this. Okay. Promise me you won't skip this. If you get nothing else out of this video, you're not going to skip onboarding with Circle. Okay. And then the last thing that I want to share with you is, or are, I guess, going actually back out here to our events feed, because I recommend that every community has some kind of live gathering, whether that's a co-working session that you run, whether it is a workshop that you run, whether it's coaching calls. We do these really nerdy research calls where we talk about the latest academic research on online communities, whatever it is. I don't care what you do, but you need to have some kind of synchronous live gathering for your members. It creates connection. It's an immediate way people can make progress. It's just such low-hanging fruit. So what you need to do in order to create an event, you can't just create one out of nowhere. You actually have to go into posts, and you need, whoops, sorry, not posts. Go back. Again, I'm in here all the time and I'm clicking the wrong thing incessantly. You go into, I just clicked the same thing again, y'all. You go into spaces, that's where you go. And then you click new space, and you have to make sure that you have an event space. So there's not one set up in your community by default. You have to create one. So let's just say you have one general event space and you want it to be open, and you can decide to auto RSVP space members to new events. I don't typically recommend that just because we want people to opt in. You don't want them to have to opt out of things. Looks like I didn't choose a space group. There we go. From here, it is very easy to start a new event. So either you can create one from right here, or you can go back into this calendar view here and create one. And you can decide if you want the events feed to look like a calendar like this, if you want it to look like a what they call a list view, or if you want it to look like the thumbnail view. To really utilize the thumbnail view or the list view, you need to have event banner images on everything. Otherwise, it just looks sloppy. So that's more work. So if you want just the easiest thing you can possibly do, create an event inside of this view here. So you can create a test event. Oops, you have to choose the space it goes into. You can tag it by topics if you have topics in your community. I don't recommend new communities start with topics. You don't need to necessarily create that level of content taxonomy yet. And you can decide here, what's possible is you can do it either in person, put an address here, the URL to a Zoom or a YouTube Live like this one. Or you can use a Circle live stream or a Circle live room, or if you don't know where you want to host it, you can just do TBD for now. So Circle live streams and Circle live rooms, there's a difference. Live stream is where it's like a YouTube live, where it's just me on a video and then other people can join and be watching me. A live room is more like a Zoom call or a Teams call where everyone can be participating. But let's say you wanted to create a live room. You can automatically from here create that, decide what you want it to look like. Do you want it to be gallery view, where it's kind of egalitarian, where everyone's picture is out there, or do you want it to be speaker view, where it's focused on you? And you can decide if you want to record it automatically and automatically post it, which is really cool. It saves a ton of time. And you can also decide all of these things too, but also disable live link sharing. So do you want people to be able to tell other people that this is happening? If so, leave this on. If you don't want, this is private, you don't want anyone to be able to share it, then you will disable live link sharing. Another really cool thing about Circle's events is you can decide to make a paid event. So you can actually make revenue from your events, even from non-members of the overall community. I should say non-subscribers to the overall community who just want to attend one-off events. They can attend a paid event. Although it looks like, okay, yeah, because we have this, we have it set as public. So where is the public option? well, let's just turn this into, let's say this. All right, you have to connect your Stripe account to do this, but you can start to charge for events this way. And then you can share that landing page. People can sign up for your events that way. So that's a way of getting around using things like Eventbrite and other platforms you might be using to kind of supplement your overall tech stack. You can centralize it all inside of Circle, which is really, really cool. All right, so then that's how you actually just create a Circle event. And then you can decide inside of your events, you can toggle on settings that auto email people to tell them when you've posted a new event. And when you do that, then you don't even have to write an invitation email. It immediately goes out to all of your members at once, which is just so cool. It's such a huge time saver. You want to be careful about the number of notifications you're triggering for people, but also be really strategic about the ones that you do trigger. So this is typically where we'll talk through with our clients, like which settings do you want toggled on and off. We get into that level of granularity with our clients. So there's obviously a lot more to Circle than this, but this is the broad overview and the main components that most people do not understand about Circle. I just wanted to share those with you today so that you can understand them. And if you're thinking about buying Circle, if you're thinking about using it for your business, this can give you that big picture view of, okay, these are the different sections that I need to be thinking about. This is the strategy that I can employ. It gives you really helpful constraints. So there's also more at different payment levels. Again, I just shared today what's possible at the basic level. There's the Pro Essentials and Enterprise, or Pro Business and Enterprise plans as well. And if you have any of those plans, you get access to things such as unlimited profile fields, marketing. They actually rolled out the ability to email your members and do marketing communications and segmented marketing based on community activity. You can customize your site further and create your own app if you want to spend, I think it's around 20 grand today to do that. You can create workflows. You can do unlimited lives and events, just depending on the level of membership that you have. But if you're like, I don't know exactly which one to launch with, my doggy is here. Say hi, Bruce. Hey, Bobby. Start with the basic. You can always upgrade from there. I started with the very basic of plans. I think I kept that for like 2 years before upgrading. I now have the business plan, and it enables things like workflows, which I find to be indispensable. Like that plus Zapier is like almost, you could run I could run my entire business, my membership business on just those two things alone. And if you're like, okay, great, I want to get started, then we have at the link in this video description, a free Circle launch toolkit. So make sure that you check that out because it will help you to go dive even further into, okay, what do I need to figure out? What do I need to think about before just getting into the platform and starting to make things happen? Because sometimes we do that and we get really overwhelmed. I don't want that for you. Okay. So thank you all. If you have any questions today about anything that I've spoken about, please let me know. And if you have any questions about Circle in the generally speaking, feel free to either drop them in the chat here or leave me a comment on this video. I would love to answer your questions. Circle is constantly they're constantly releasing, that's the word I'm looking for, releasing new features and things like that. So I would love to keep you updated as more features are launched and more advancements are made to the platform. But like I said, this is just one platform of many, but it is one of my favorites. It's one that I use. And it's one that I highly recommend for creators and business owners who are just getting started. You can really minimize your tech stack and keep your business, keep your membership business all organized under one technology roof, which is a huge, huge advantage for those of you who feel really overwhelmed by technology, which is myself included. I'm with you in that club. All right. So if anybody's here still in the chat, you can drop your name, and I'm going to be doing a giveaway of our Circle Launch Toolkit. And if not, that's also totally cool. And what I will do is reach out to those of you who have commented on the chat afterwards, and I'll be doing that giveaway that way. All right, friends. All right, so that is it for today. I'm going to be back, I think, in 2 weeks. We're going to doing it's a Circle setup blueprint. It's the way that we set up Circle communities for all of our clients. I'm going to walk you through what that process looks like. Again, the goal of all of this is just to release you from overwhelm, release you from feeling like everything has to be perfect, and give you the big picture so that you don't get lost in the details of launching your community. Because I want more communities out there, more incredible communities. So in the meantime, feel free to drop me comments here on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram at Carrie Melissa Jones and tell me what you learned from this video. I would love to know how you are applying what you're learning and what your community is that you're putting out into the world. Take a little screenshot of you watching the video and tell me what you learned on Instagram if you're feeling up for it. Okay, friends. Thank you. Happy community building, and I will see you on the internet. Bye.